Here's a short history lesson on education from my perspective. I call it my educational Jurassic Park story. The three ladies with varying lengths of dresses, just an analogy. We certainly know that fashion changes quite rapidly in clothes, and certainly one can use this as an analogy for what occurs in education. I remember being at school during the 3 hours reading, writing, arithmetic. Then there was progressive education. You might remember someone called Dr. Spock, not the guy flying around the universe in Sky Trek, right? And then that seemed to become unpopular. We went back to basics again, and then we had constructivism, and don't worry about that. That's an educational paradigm. And we've got student-centered learning. For me, all learning's got to be student-centered anyway. And now we've got lots of other terms flying around. The most recent one I heard was studio thinking, and I can't make any sense of that. And it also worries me when I hear things like that the teachers know more the sage on the stage, but the guide on the side. Surely good teachers do both of these things depending on circumstances. And it doesn't really give a view of teaching as an established profession with stable evidence bases of knowledge to guide practice. Instead, it's more of an educational Jurassic Park. And there's some dinosaurs roaming around. Just to give you an example, learning styles. For many years we were told you've got to understand student learning styles, calibrate teaching methods to them and whatever. But the evidence doesn't support that notion at all. There's not any substantive evidence to say that understanding student learning styles is going to be useful for how you teach it. And we're also told other things such as there's now digital natives and students can multitask. Again, the cognitive science evidence doesn't support that either. However, there is a revolution in teaching. Who said so? Jeff Petty in Evidence-Based Teaching. And what he basically argues is that we do know much more about what teaching methods work best, and we can abandon custom, fashions, facts, and become evidence-based. And certainly, lots of other researchers have been looking at the human learning process, understanding human learning, and developing a strong base of knowledge about how students learn and how we can use this to teach better. Let's go back to the idea that teachers are the most important factor in educational quality. We need teachers who are using evidence-based knowledge and translating that into effective practices in the classroom. And then we don't have to listen to Peter Drury going on about it's only the naturals that can do this. Okay, evidence-based teaching. Bit of a summary here. We will build on this in the face-to-face session, but there's two main strands of research. One is the work of John Atty and others who have looked at what teaching method strategies work best in terms of enhancing student attainment, and that is referred to as high effect size methods. Greater the effect size, more impactful on its potential for higher student attainment. And secondly, we are now, it's probably the case, I think I'm correct here to say that we probably know more about how the brain works in the last 20 years than the rest of human history. So what that basically means, we know a hell of a lot more about learning principles. What's often referred to as cognitive scientific principles. And these are key heuristics about the learning process that, if used as a basis for designing learning experiences and actual teaching, will lead to better results with students. So what do we mean by better results with students? Well, certainly they've got to be focused on meeting the learning outcomes, attainment level. But also, we want to make the learning experience more interesting, more meaningful. In other words, we want to knock out a lot of this boredom that is still going on in the classroom.